Welcome back to another episode of the 2023 NBA Draft Prospect Profiles here on the Field of 68 Network. My name is Rob Doster. I have Greg Waddell with me, and today we are going to be breaking down Michigan point guard, two guard, combo guard, superstar, best NBA prospect on the Wolverines last season, Kobe Bufkin, a 6'4", 195-pound lefty. Always got to love the lefties. It averaged 14 points, 4.5 boards, and 2.9 assists, while shooting 48% from the floor, 36% from three, 85% from the line. Fun fact, Gregory, that I did not fully realize until I started researching and diving into some of the film and intel on Kobe Bufkin for this recording. He should be a freshman. He's basically the same age as Cason Wallace. He is younger than his teammate, Jet Howard, who is a freshman, one and done. So what do you make of young Kobe?
I'm warning you now, you're going to think my comp at the end of this is absolutely insane. I am so high on Kobe Bufkin. It hurts. I can't wait for the entire world to realize how good this kid is. You alluded to it, Rob, but not only is he young, he was the youngest player in the country in his class out of high school. Okay. Like, he's a classic throwback 6 years. That's what John Beilein loved. He would find guys who were just like a year and a half younger than the grade level they're currently in, and then it would take a couple years, and then he's great. He essentially, for all intents and purposes, he should be a one and done. That's how people should view him. His freshman year at Michigan, he played like 6 minutes a game, had like 12 DNPs, and really did not show much of anything. He was frail. He wasn't ready. He put on a ton of muscle in the offseason, comes back year two, and for about a month, you're like, oh, this guy's kind of showing some flashes, but he's a nice complementary piece to Hunter Dickinson and Jet Howard. And then about halfway through the season, it's like, this guy's clearly the best player on this team. What are we doing? And they started to shift everything around their offense to that. And that's coincidentally when Michigan started really playing some good basketball down the stretch of the season. He has a crafty handle. He's left-handed. He's elite at the rim. I mean, we talked about this earlier with, I forget who it was, maybe Jordan Hawkins, or no, with Cason Wallace. He shot 71% at the rim as a guard on a team where nobody respected the spacing. Like, they never had a shooter at the four. Hunter Dickinson was floating on the perimeter, and people were leaving him wide open to clog up the paint. And Kobe Bufkin, as a 6'4", two-guard, lefty dominant, shot 71% at the rim. It's absurd. Him going downhill, he has a change of pace. He can switch directions. He is good with both hands, but if you let him get that corner with his left hand, it's pretty much unstoppable. He does have the athleticism to rise up and finish, but he is a little more of like a floater finesse angles guy than he is like a just rise up and dunk on your head guy. But his upside as a pick and roll ball handler at the next level is absolutely huge. About midway through the season, like I said, that's when everything shifted for him. He realized that he is essentially unguardable on one dribble pull-ups, and that became a shot he used to shoot like once a game to 6-7 times a game. And he was so efficient on it. He can get to the baseline, rise up. He has enough length. He's listed at 6'4", but I swear to God, from seeing him, he's more like 6'6". He's got a pretty solid wingspan. Like, his shot was never altered when he rose up with a hand in his face once that I can remember all season. And he's a very solid defender. Like, he always drew the assignment of the opposing team's best perimeter player, a really good steals guy, never really beat to his spots. Like, I all around, he's going to be solid. Like, he doesn't really have a weakness that you're going to worry about as a red flag at the NBA. It's more about, okay, what's the shooting upside here? Because he did have stretches of the season where he would go cold. But man, Rob, this is going to sound a little crazy. I don't know that there was a better guard, like a two guard in the country, than Kobe Bufkin from February on. Let me read you his numbers. 17 points a game, 6 rebounds a game, 4 assists a game, a steal, a block on 52% from the floor, 45% from three, 90% from the free throw for the final 2 months of the season. That's like a 16-game sample size. He was that good. And Rob, nobody realized it, because by that point in the season, Michigan was out of the national conversation, and the narratives had turned to, well, Hunter Dickinson's underachieving and Jet Howard has holes in his game. Like, I'm telling you, I think this kid is lottery good, if not top 10 good, and there's going to be a team that gets a massive steal in the middle of the first round in this draft.
I'm glad that I'm not the only one on Bufkin Island over here, because I do think that I agree with almost everything that you just said right there. The thing that I love about his game is that he doesn't it's not like a layup line scout, right? Like, he doesn't pop off with his explosiveness. He's not somebody that is going to get to the basket because they got the best first step. Like, he's not the physical athlete that Cam Whitmore is, for example, right? Yes, he can rise up and he can dunk on you. A lot of that has to do with his size and the fact that he can jump a little bit and he's got some pretty good length. But his game is about like being able to get you off balance, being able to get a step and get his shot off, being able to get to the lane where like he just finishes at all angles. You know how there's these lefties where they just always find a way to be able to get to their left hand. They always find a way to be able to finish once they get to the left hand. And it just kind of feels like people aren't used to being able to guard them or understand how to guard them. And that's kind of what Kobe Bufkin is. I think he has real potential as a playmaker in pick and rolls. Like, there were some passes that he threw with his right hand, with his left hand, live dribble stuff, hitting the weak side corner. Like, I think that he's really good at being able to read the tagger, being able to read the help side, being able to know what people are doing offensively, or I'm sorry, defensively. My big question in terms of his upside is I don't think that he is a guy that is going to be a pure point guard at the next level, right? I think he is someone that is kind of the best situation for him is going to be a little bit of a secondary playmaker, right? As a secondary ball handler, as someone that can be a floor spacer that when the ball gets swung to him can attack a second side closeout, can attack a second side ball screen. I think that's probably the best case scenario. Maybe there's a little bit of upside. I'm really curious to hear what your comp is for him, but I think that it's like the vision that I have for what he can be as a player is somewhere in the neighborhood of like prime Malcolm Brogdon or Tyrese Halliburton. Our partner for today's episode is Athletic Greens. I started taking AG1 during the college basketball season, and I loved the impact that it had on my energy levels. I'm a big coffee in the morning guy, but by the time that the afternoon would hit, I needed another boost. AG1 helped me tremendously, especially on those days when I didn't want to get up off the couch and go hit the gym. Their tagline is AG1 is comprehensive health and the power of habit in one. And man, that could not be more true. It's nearly impossible to eat and drink in a healthy manner in the month of February and the month of March when you are in my business. And AG1 was exactly the supplement that I needed to improve my gut health and cover my nutritional basis for the day. I've continued that into April. I've continued that into May, and I'm going to continue that the rest of the summer. All I have to do is mix a scoop of AG1 with some water or maybe add it into a smoothie, and I'm ready to go. Do it after lunch, and you'll be ready to go for the rest of the day. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/field68. That's field 68 FIELD, the number 6, the number 8, and you can get yours now. So check it out and help support this show. Thanks. He's a little bit of a different, like his skill set is a little bit different than what Tyrese Halliburton is. I'm more talking about like what that role is that he could end up playing. So what do you think give me a comp. What do you have for him?
So, okay, before I give my comp, I have another number. I had a couple numbers I put stars next to, Rob, because I'm in love with this kid's game. Not only did he do all the efficient stuff I alluded to and really never complain, never make a mistake, all of that. When Michigan's fighting for their tournament lives down the stretch of the season, obviously they failed, right? But there were 5 games, a 5-game stretch, the final 2 weeks of the regular season where it looks like, they're a first 4-out team. They need everything in this final 2 weeks. They went at Rutgers, Wisconsin, at Illinois, at Indiana, then their conference tournament game, 5 games. 3 in a row in the middle of that 5-game span went to overtime. He was on the bench for 10 total minutes in that 5-game stretch when 3 of them went to overtime. 215 minutes of basketball in a 2-week span. He played 205 of the minutes, doing everything for this Michigan team. and rarely made a mistake. Like, he's just so solid. And it's like people viewed him as a veteran because it said sophomore on the roster sheet. Like, if this kid was just listed as a freshman, which he should be for his natural age, he's viewed so differently. And that's why somebody's going to get a steal. My comp, I agree so much with your point about, okay, the biggest question is he a primary guy? Is he a point guard? I don't think the answer is yes to either of those, at least not right away. What I see is a guy who is a secondary playmaker, secondary scorer next to a very good point guard on a very good team. RJ Barrett, another lefty, 6'5", some size. He's a little bigger than 6'5", but RJ Barrett is a guy, obviously he had the elite pedigree, a time #1 ranked recruit. Kobe Bufkin was never that, right? But what he has settled into is a guy who's not ever going to be first team all NBA, but he is going to be an 18 to 20 points a game guy at minimum for the next 10 years, a guy who can get you 3 to 5 assists on any given night, a guy who will rebound the basketball. I think Kobe Bufkin has better defensive upside than RJ Barrett does, but offensively, that's what I see. A guy who can make shots, not at an elite level, a guy who can play make, not at an elite level. He doesn't necessarily do anything at an all NBA level, but he does everything at an NBA level.
I don't hate that. I don't hate it. I think he's a little bit of a better shooter than what RJ is. And the one thing that we did not talk about, you just kind of mentioned it right there, is, you know, he had a ton of, what do they call it? They call it stocks, right? Steals and blocks.
Tons of
the guy that he makes a lot of plays defensively. I don't know if he's the greatest defender yet, but I do think that he is someone that makes a lot of plays and is an impact defender. Yeah, I don't hate that. I think that's kind of like what your ideal role for him would be in terms of what he could be at the next level. I do not hate that comparison.
Any team that drafts Jet Howard over Kobe Bufkin, that GM will be out of a job in 4 years.
What do you think the worst case scenario is for him? Do you think he's a guy that like, can he possibly be out of the league in 4 years? Because I honestly, like, I don't really see a terrible floor for him. Like, I think that he is someone that is good enough at a lot of different things that he should be an NBA player for a while, even if that's as like the 10th guy off the bench for somebody down the road.
Yeah, that's the thing, is he's too well-rounded and he's too smart and he's a good teammate by all accounts. Like, even if he's not a rotation guy, and the only world I would see where he's not a rotation guy 5 years from now is like he's on a really good team and he's the 9th or 10th guy on a playoff team that just doesn't need him. To me, he's still like he's the perfect guy you want in practice and the perfect guy that is ready at a moment's notice to check in and contribute. He's just really well-rounded. That's why, like, I don't think there is a floor where he's out of the league, because at the very least, like, he's a good defender. He has playmaking upside. He's a good shooter. He rebounds really well for his position. Like, there's not anything you can pinpoint that's like, okay, that could fall off a cliff and he won't contribute. If anything, it would be like the shooting numbers dip, which you said you trust his shot a lot. I think I do trust his shot. I don't think he's ever going to be like a 40 plus shooter in the NBA. I think he's more like 36, 37%, which is what he shot in college this year. But again, that was because the first half of the season, he was like 28% from three. And then the second half, he was nuclear 45. Mm-hmm. So the shot is pretty. He takes a lot of off the dribble shots too. Like, if in the NBA, he's playing next to a true point guard and he can get more catch and shoot looks, I do think there's upside there for that to grow. But yeah, I just don't see a world, barring like injury. I mean, he is kind of frail. That would be the one thing, is like, can his body hold up? If he's going to need to be a guy who guards the best perimeter player in the NBA, he needs to put on more muscle, put on a little more weight. But I think he does that because, again, he's so young. Give him 2 years, put some more muscle on him, and he's going to be a 10-plus year pro.
Well, there you go. Kobe Bufkin, the best NBA prospect on a team that had Jet Howard and a team that had Hunter Dickinson. Who would have thought it if we would have said that about 2 months ago? Listen, Greg, this has been fun. If you want more of these draft prospect profiles, check the links in the description below. We are rolling out more than 50 of these throughout the months of May and June. And be sure to tune in. We will be doing a live mock draft 1 week before the NBA draft. 6 experts on the panel making every single pick for every single team. Be sure to tune in. Check that out. Thank you for watching the Field of 68. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here, hit that like button, share this link with your friends, or check out the description for some other places that you can consume Field of 68 content.